to Emily. It says, we would like to know about each of your journeys to owning your own business. How did you get to where you are today? You can keep it brief.
You said make it brief.
You can make it as brief as you can. You can tell us.
Okay. Well, my journey has been a long one. I started out in the music industry with the group Escape, and we signed our first deal when I was 16. And so my main motivation was to try to just maintain my lifestyle, because you see so many people who become entertainers and they're hot and then they fall off, and then you hear all these horror stories. So my main motivation was I never wanted to be broke. I never wanted to just not be able to afford my lifestyle. So I was trying to think of ways to have businesses outside of just entertainment, because entertainment is like so up and down. And that's what inspired me to do other things outside, like start my clothing stores, Tags Boutiques, which now we have like 4 of them. And then I also have Bedroom Candy, which was my adult toy line, but that sparked from Candy Coated Nights, which was, an online talk show that, me and my friends do. But for me, I think every business just comes from, we all sit around with great ideas, but some of us talk ourselves out of it before we even try. We give ourselves all the reasons why it's not gonna work before we even know if it will, and then we see somebody else do it and then we mad. So I'm just one of those type of people, like if I think of something, I'm just gonna try and do it. Some of my ideas work really, really big, and then some of them you never even hear about. But at least I know I tried. And I think that's the main thing. It's like, don't defeat yourself. Never defeat yourself by talking yourself out of it. Oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I don't have this. Don't ever do that.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Cynthia's going.
Okay, first of all, I just would like to say I always hate going behind Candy's success story because she is so successful. This is like the hardest working lady that I know. And every time I think I'm doing it, then I holler at my girl Kandi. She has like 30 other things going on. So, and I said all that to say, ladies, entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs that are in the room, it's so important to surround yourself with women, with people that are doing things, because it truly, truly does motivate you. You can't sit up and hate on them, because it does take a lot of work. And I'm sure all these women up here have a great work ethic, because it does take work. And then when you get success, guess what? You got to stay successful. So you got to keep working at that. So it just never really ends. And my journey, just to go back just a little bit, started pretty much when I was old enough to work. Again, work ethic is super important. Nobody's going to just ring your doorbell and say, hey, let me just give you an opportunity. You have to go out and make opportunities for yourself. And my real journey started when I moved to New York City to pursue my modeling career at 18 years old. And talking about the fear factor, I was from Alabama, the country. I'd never been on a plane. I'd never been to New York City. I was scared to death, but I was more afraid to not try. I didn't grow up from money or any of that stuff, so I didn't really have a lot of examples around me of just, successful people. Everybody just kind of worked hard and, paid their bills and kept a roof over their head, and that pretty much, was successful for my background. So moving to New York definitely was a game changer for me. It changed my complete life. That one choice to decide to go for it changed my whole life. And it led me really right where I am today, because I just never stopped going for it after that. So I can talk forever, but I'm let everybody else talk. Come back to me. Thank you.
Now we have Nicole.
Yes. Well, my journey, I think is the perfect example of letting go and letting God, because looking back, like growing up, I can't imagine. First of all, I don't know what I wanted to do, but it wasn't a celebrity gossip blogger, because there was no such thing back then. Even when I first started my site, there were like a few sites around, but it wasn't as huge as it is now. But yeah, my journey started when I moved to New York, and I was trying to work for music labels, and the doors just kept slamming in my face. I went on interview after interview after interview, and I just kept getting no. And I ran out of money, and so I had to move back home on the Eastern Shore, which is a small town in Maryland. And the only jobs there were like Walmart and like a pickle factory. And I knew that's not where I wanted to be. And so I got online and I started, posting stories on celebrities, more so to pass the time away. And I, started researching, and I was like, I could probably make some money off of this. So I spent maybe 2 or 3 weeks just researching, what sites were up, how much traffic they got, how many times a day they post, and I put a plan together. And I say that because it's kind of hard to get to where you want to go if you don't got a plan. Like if you just driving but you don't have a roadmap, you might end up anywhere. And with me, I knew exactly where I wanted the site to be in a year. I actually made the site because I was under the impression if I show like the labels what I can do with my own brand and with myself, then they would hire me after a year. So I gave myself a year. I'm going to build my numbers. I'm going to have all these Twitter followers and Facebook fans, and then I'm going to get a job. But needless to say, the site took off, and I didn't go back to work for anybody since then. But I say all this to say that, like, when someone, like, sometimes we look for someone to give us a handout or an opportunity, and sometimes you got to create your own. And that was probably the best thing I've ever did. And the greatest gift I ever gave myself was to give myself my own opportunity. And so I hope, like, whatever you're out there trying to do, just know, like, no matter if somebody's going to give it to you or you can, these girls, I think, all created, especially Emily. Now she's designing shoes. She's going to people, like, I went on your Fly Jane, and those shoes are amazing, girl. They are amazing, but we talked about it today. Just never give up. Like, when they don't say yes, eventually they're going to come back to you and say, yes, you just got to prove yourself in your own little way. So that's my story.
Woo! Now we have Natasha.
Well, I will definitely like to say that these women up here, to actually be sitting amongst so many amazing women, to me especially is an honor. To look back at the things I have accomplished in working with such amazing clients, such as, Kandi, who is just a wonderful person to work with on a daily basis, as well as all these ladies, Day, and everyone that supports me as a brand. I can truly say, looking back 7 years ago, working at the mall, a 9 to 5 at the Mac counter, just, had a regular job like everyone else. I never envisioned traveling all around the world and, having the opportunity to work at some of the most prestigious events in the world, from Super Bowl to the Oscars. And it all comes back to just doing what you do with a passion, because that's what you love to do, and everything else will fall into place. And then in transitioning yourself into a brand and a business, you have to surround yourself with business women. Kandi said it best, like-minded people, because you're only as strong as your social circle. And I'll tell anyone, it's not about where you are today, it's about where you work towards being tomorrow. So it doesn't matter if you don't like where you are, and you don't like your job, and you don't like your position. All you have to do is just say, this is what I want to do, this is the timeline I want to make it happen. So I would like, when I look back even at my journey, I don't really make excuses, and I'm actually blessed for everything that's happened. I have 2 children, so I feel like my feedback to everyone is, nothing happens overnight, but with hard work, prayer, belief, and a really, really good, strong foundation, all things are possible. And that's basically where I hold the majority of my accomplishments, being able to open a business in the heart of Buckhead. To me, I don't even know how I did it. It has to be God. I give him all the credit, and I actually say thank you to all my clients that support me, because without attaching yourself to other people and you all building off each other, giving back will get you more than anything. Sometimes relationships are priceless. And if you support those same people will support you. So I believe you get more out of life by the more you give. The people that you give to will always come back and give back to you. So to me, I feel like that is the basis of the circle of life, and sowing good seeds, because that's going to be the harvest that you reap in the future.
Ooh, now we have Emily.
Well, I'm from a little town called Norfolk, Virginia. I don't know if a lot of you knew that, but I started off wanting to be a designer when I was about 13 years old. I went to like high school for fashion design, and how I started, I used to dress my friends and do photo shoots, and that's how I started to build my portfolio. And as I got older, you know, I started working with models, and then I transitioned into doing like local celebrities and entertainers. But of course, as you all know, my big break was when I was on Love and Hip Hop New York. I went in already being a stylist. I already had a job. I already had a vision. And I knew when I did that show what I wanted to get out of it. I knew that even though I was going to be embarrassed and I was going to have to tell my truth, that I knew at the end of the day, I knew that I wanted to brand myself and I wanted to take advantage of the situation. So I say this by saying there's so much power in your social networks. There's power in positivity. There's power in honesty. And I was just always myself. And I find that building my social network, it has been so important in my business, because I went to these companies saying, you know what, I have these ideas and I have this vision and I have this passion for this, and I believe that I can sell it. You know, I just believed in my brand. And I really feel that it came from my social network. I know that my designs are good, I hope, you know, but being positive, worrying about what people, you know, like presenting myself in a manner where, you know, I have a teenage daughter, you know, I have a teenage daughter that's watching, and she's my motivation. So everything I put out there, I just think there's power in positivity. So I say this, now I have this shoe line, and it's, you know, it's almost sold out, and it's because of the women that support me. And I have so many women who have come up to me and told me, you know, I support you, I've been through the same things as you, and I like you and I love you because you're, you know, I feel like I could relate to you, and or you're, you know, and I think that having friends and having women who support you is, you know, that's the biggest power that you can have. So I guess that's my story. Everything you put out there, ladies, make sure it's positive. I know a lot of us, we're emotional, so we Instagram emotional things, or we, you know, a lot of us like to be sexy. I like to be sexy. I like to wear my, you know, sexy stuff. But everything I put, I think about it. Before I put it out there into the world, I think about everything I put out there. So I think that's very important. When you're starting a business, remember what you're putting out there.
To add on to that, being a mother and having additional responsibilities, how many hours typically do you see yourself working on your profession?
Wow, well, I'm freelance, you know, I'm an independent contractor, so I make my own schedule. Sometimes I do work for other artists as well, so it's kind of rough for me, because not only am I behind the scenes, but I'm also on the scene as well. So like when I'm styling someone who's a celebrity, I'm not a celebrity anymore. I'm there for work, you know. So I always have to switch it up. I have to keep it professional, you know. When I go on a set and I'm on a video set and there's other people like, Emily, can you take a picture? It's like, absolutely not. I'm not the celebrity today. I'm here for work, and that's, you know, I try to separate that. But I work a lot. I couldn't tell you how many hours. Endless. You can never work enough.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is for Cynthia. How do you find people to bring into your business that truly care about you and your brand the way that you do?
Okay, so how do I find people to be a part of my business that care about my brand as much as I do? They have the same vision. Well, that's not that easy, actually. You know, you have to be willing to give people chances when they come to work for you, but you also have to be willing to fire them if it's not working out. I mean, it's just as simple as that. If you have a vision and people they can't, you know, get in there and be an asset to what you're trying to do, then unfortunately, you know, you have to be prepared to, you know, to keep it moving. And that's just part of being a boss. And I'm not really that great at that part, but I'm getting a lot better at it. I really love giving people opportunities. A lot of times people come to you and they think they see your vision, they think they want to work for you, and then they start working for you and they're like, maybe I don't want to work for you. So you have to keep focused And if you're only as good as your team. Like, none of us can do what we do by ourselves. So having a great team, most of the people that I say that have a lot of success have a phenomenal team. And sometimes the team changes because your team grows and they have their own visions and their own dreams. And I think that's great. I mean, I don't want anyone to just be like, okay, my dream is just to work for you. It's like, well, that's flattering, but that's not much of a big dream. What do you want to do? So I try to just be, as a boss, I just try to be a tool to inspire and motivate people to eventually do their own thing. Hopefully I get a little work out of them before they move on, but I'm just saying, I don't expect anybody on my team to just want to work for me forever, and, you just got to have good people around you and be, open to changing it up and bringing people in. I will also say, you have to be very realistic and very focused and very specific about what it is you're trying to do, because you can't train a team to get down with what you're trying to do if you're all over the place and you're not really sure. So I will say to my entrepreneur women in here, don't overwhelm yourself with like a million things. Like, really, take like baby steps and figure out, okay, well, what do I want to do? What is my first thing I want to do? And then do that and have success with that. And then maybe whatever that is, an extension of that could come with the second business. But I'm not a big believer in trying to do too much. And I'm definitely not a believer in doing things that ain't got to do with me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a singer. I mean, I think I can sing okay, but I'm not going to put out an album because I don't know how to sing. So I'm not just out there going, okay, I think I'll drop an album now because I'm hot, I'm on TV now. No, that's not my lane. I know my lane. My lane is beauty and fashion. I'm a beauty brand and a fashion brand. So that's what I do. And I think it's easy. I think you can obtain success a lot easier if you just do what you're really good at and what you enjoy doing.
So I'm going to piggyback off that because where I come in, I understand both sides. Who you spend the most time with is normally who you become the closest to. So I will say, in my journey, traveling and working with my clients, they started to treat me like family. So the benefit, there's pros and cons to everything. But in my clients treating me like family, having a certain level of respect and appreciation for what it is I was able to bring to their lives, as well as what they were able to bring to my life. When it was time for me to hire my employees, I treated them the same way. And because I treated them the way my clients have always treated me, I expect to grow and build with them for a very long time. Because whenever I bring and my entity is a little bit different. So when I bring in an artist, she may not be the best. I don't need her to be the best. What I need is to see the ability to take constructive criticism. What I need to see is the ability to think ahead. What I need to see is the ability to be creative. And then I will sow into you. I will help train you and I will help teach you. But everything that my clients have taught me, the places they've taken me, the things they've done for me and my family, I've never, ever asked for. They just have a way of showing their appreciation. And because I've been blessed with such good clients, my employees, I go over and beyond for, because that's what my clients have always done for me. That's why I'm able to be here today. That's why I'm able to have businesses. That's why I was able to travel around the world. A lot of events and things that I have attended, not only did I work, I attended as a guest. That had nothing to do with work. I've never asked for that. But I do believe when people would treat you how they see you. But Emily B said something very important. And what I really loved about that, when you're working, you're working. And you have to understand there can only be one star at that moment, and that's the person that's hired to be there to do the job. And so by her knowing that she's going to be very, very successful, because it's really important to have balance, knowing when to turn it off and turn it on, and then knowing how to play your position. You know, when you're working, you're here to do a job, you're here to serve, you're here to make sure that that talent is able to do their job effectively, efficiently, and comfortably. So I guess, I understand about not being too close, keeping it strictly business, but I think it all does depend. It depends on the character of the person, because if I see an employee that I feel like she does things without me asking, then I gravitate towards her a little bit more, I should say. Now, if I see one that doesn't move until I ask her, she's Okay, now I see where you are. It's in my back pocket. I may not say anything, but I've noticed. You understand? A lot of things always move as if someone's always watching you. You understand? When you have that mentality that someone's always watching you, you're always going to be the best. You know what I mean? And when I do things as if, and another thing is I treat everyone the same. If any of you ever came to me for services, you're going to get the same professional quality service that I'm going to give my clients. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, it's just very important. I treat people, you know, how I want to be treated. So I guess with the whole friendship, family, employee relationship thing. So that's just the other side to that.
Being friends with your employees. Okay, you know, I have done things because you can't help but actually care about these people. You know, they work for you, they're grinding for you, so you love them. You treat them like family. They know your children, they know your dog, they know everybody in your life. And but what happens is sometimes when you don't make those lines clear. I mean, anytime anything happens, you know, I've call like, oh, my car broke down, I need to get it fixed. I done fixed more cars, bought cars. Somebody died, I'm sending flowers, helping get the casket, chip it in. It's just like you have to draw that line very clearly between boss, employer, and friend. And that's really hard when you have people busting their butt for you. But you have to do it, otherwise, every time they need something, they don't even go to their family anymore. They just come to you. They're like, hey, I need, I want to go back to school. I need some tuition money. You're like, wait a minute now. I said I was supportive of you, but I didn't say I was trying to support you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very clear. And that was when Kandi was saying, go back to the old bitch thing. Sometimes you got to be like, look now, this is what it is. You have to make what I pay you work. And, we can talk about, like, advances and things like that, where, you have to, like, I'm big on, the whole barter thing. Okay, if I do this, then you got to give me a certain amount of hours of work. And then you just work it out. Because at the end of the day, you want to support them, but, it definitely gets hard when you start to, have a relationship with them, friendships and stuff.